anything proper.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday night. I know you missed us since last week. It is time for the Bama Standard, your favorite show for Alabama content, period. Before we get started, I want you to go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're in a live chat, have some fun tonight. Let's do what you do best. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section. Show us some love there. As always, got to throw some love towards our sponsors, Workspace Solutions. If your business needs a digital presence, full-fledged marketing team, SEO, or any other business solution, these are the guys you need coaching up your business. After the show is over, visit them today at workspacepros.com. I am your host, Justin Riley, and with me, as always, is the man who makes this show what it is. He is the godfather of Bama, of comedy, all things awesome. He is the undefeated, undisputed king of comedy and star of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, put it together for Steve Brown.
Hey man, I'm happy to be here, man, and I realize that you guys can't do it without me, so I'm glad to be here, man. Putting my stamp on this show. Let's get it. I'm ready. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then right next to him is an all-SEC linebacker. When Ric Flair said, to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. He is that man, Marvin Constant.
Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. And the man who really gives validity to this show, a man that keeps Paul Feinbaum employed. He's the senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine and international sex symbol. He's sitting on a deacon's couch, Stephen M. Smith.
Appreciate you, Deacon, for allowing me to use the couch again. Also, Kalen DeBoer was at SEC spring meeting, so that was fun.
All you missing is the plastic on that couch.
I got the plastic in the back door. The plastic in the back door.
Hey, Steve, he got one of the plastic runners in the hallway too. That one that hurt your feet when it's wrong on the wrong side.
Hey man, why did you do that man couch like that? Hey, you should have bought two couches like that, one to give away and one to throw away. Okay.
Well, look, this is what I'm trying to give away.
This thing came with an 86 Lincoln Continental.
I know, man. That's a cutlass seat. Okay.
Yes. That's right, Stephen. That's what he's trying to give away, like he said on his honeymoon. Anyway, we have got a fantastic show tonight. Going a little bit of a different direction. We've got a guest here, and if you've seen the title coming into the show, you're probably wondering, what in the world are we going to be talking about tonight? Tennessee, what? Anyway, we got a special guest, an expert, if you will. Stephen M. Smith, you're the MC to bring him in. Let the folks know who we have in the building.
We got a esteemed person here of the media covering the Tennessee Volunteers. He's talking about all things Vols, getting us set for this matchup in the upcoming season in Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. I'm going to be there. Will I make it out alive? Remains to be seen. But we got our guest here. He's right here. He's ready. He's juiced up. He's pumped up. He's got his microphone. He's got his headset on. He's got a beard that looks way better than mine, which a lot of beards look way better than mine. It's better at this point. But we got the guy covering your Tennessee Volunteers in the room, and I don't want to butcher this up. We got Travis Hamilton in the building from Vols Sports Network.
Let's go. Go Vols, baby.
If you butchered that name, something's wrong with you, sir.
Yeah, man. Hamilton? God.
Look now. I got to always make sure we're getting this thing right.
Clearly, you can see what was on the screen. You didn't miss one letter. We know that much.
No, let's get into it. Sir, why are you here? Who sent you?
Listen, I heard from a person through the grapevine that Bama was worried about playing Tennessee this year. So y'all wanted to find out behind enemy lines what the issue might be. So I decided to come give y'all a little bit of intel, hide a few things, maybe help y'all out a little bit, and give y'all a little sneak peek on what could happen and later on this season. So I decided to go ahead and give you a little bit of my little bit of my knowledge, and like I said, I'm not an expert, as he said, but I try to keep up with Tennessee as much as possible with players, recruits, and all alike for the last 6 years or so. And so we've got a great squad coming in, and I'm excited to see what the new Saban-less era and Bama has to hold. And hopefully it starts off with Linnell and Nealon. I'm just going to say that, of course. I wouldn't.
You know what? That's what you're riding on, Saban-less. I heard that, but let me say this. Let me ask you a question. Have y'all gotten that goalpost out of the lake yet? Or the river?
No, man. It's down there with the woman from Florida, man. Just catfish and crappie, just hanging out. They already bedded up.
Yeah, because if Bama wins a big game, we roll tide and go home. But I understand y'all had a party, orgies, and everything in the stadium.
Listen, man, I understand. I understand Saban had to leave. Dodge Chargers don't pay players like they used to anymore. You got to actually start getting into NIL.
Oh,
hey, listen, man, I get it. How fast some challengers go 1-16? They were quick back in 2010.
Marvin can answer that.
I bet he could. Come on, man. What'd you ask? Charger, Challenger, which Dodge? It was one of them.
I'm a Chevy man.
He got you a Camaro, huh? That's what's up, though. Hey,
it was funny.
Love.
Yeah.
Listen, I broke into a couple of them, but I never driven them. But go ahead.
He did.
I mean, Justin knew I played at UNM, and I know I didn't play for any SEC school. I played for New Mexico, and my biggest booster gift I ever got was a $300 Taco Bell gift card, which in 2006 was fire. You know how many party packs you could have got with that? I mean, we turned up. It was good Texas Tech.
They didn't want you to play. They was trying to make you sick with all that Taco Bell.
I tell you what, man. It was like going into a bye week. They knew what they was in stat for, so it worked out well for me.
Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. We already having fun, but before we do everything, go ahead and prod what you got, Travis. I know that Vol Sports Network. If people outside of Vol Nation are unfamiliar, let them know what it is and how they can find it, and then we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, Facebook.com/thevspn. We're about to get back into it. We're finishing up some baseball stuff on our writing for the postseason, and then we'll get ready for our off-season articles going into summer camp, summer drills, and going into fall camp. But yeah, Facebook.com/thevspn. We're about to get started on Twitter some more. We hardly use it, but if you go there, VSPN tweets. Other than that, we do have a podcast getting started. Hopefully we'll have some of these guys on there as well. So I appreciate any kind of likes and follows. And if you come by, we're one of the few shows that we encourage a good amount of bad talk from our rivals. So we encourage it. Come on into the chat at any point. Talk all the smack you want to. Yeah. Go ahead, Marvin. Go ahead.
You can call me for that show anytime you want.
I got you.
Bobby,
I got you.
Now, Travis, I just got one thought, Travis. One thought. Are you on here just to tick off Philip Farmer?
Listen. Maybe not. Proof's in the pudding, so we'll find out at the end of the show, I reckon.
Well, Travis, I got to ask you, starting out, and I'll let our guy Justin take over. Why would y'all call a game against Bama a rivalry, knowing that y'all been getting beat every year? I don't understand.
I swear, y'all.
How is that a rivalry? No, real talk. How is that a rivalry?
Because that is the color game for over a century. Regardless of what's happened in the last 16 years, that game, I mean, people seem to forget the 90s really well and the 80s as well. I mean, just because the last 15, 16 years, Tennessee football has been a disgrace, I mean, which it has been. Luckily we got Josh Heupel turning the boat back around. But when you're still top five in all time wins, you're still a program to be talked about. So
okay.
The one thing I would love to see with this new SEC under realignment, I'm praying that this happens. Please move Alabama and Auburn to the east.
I love it.
That so bad.
Mizzou and Mizzou needs to go to the west for sure.
Nah, leave them over there. Leave them.
Nah.
Here's the thing, though. If you move Alabama and Auburn to the east, you've pretty much preserved all of your historic rivalries in the SEC.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it makes sense.
East and West. I mean, East and West are gone though now at this point, though, right?
Well, they said they're doing away with divisions for this one season, but they'll go back to them the next season. So
I didn't know if they were going to quadrants or what the deal was going to be with that or how it was going to work. So
I'm praying they just move us and Auburn so that way they keep all the rivalries. The only one you
Yeah.
got to really worry about is Alabama LSU at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey.
I just grew up in the early '90s watching Bama football. My family was, of course, big Bama haters, and college football is cyclical. Maybe that's the word. It comes and it goes. Bama was great in the early '90s, got y'all natty, and then things happened in the early 2000s. So
Marvin.
every 10 years. Things can occur, I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer is Mike Shula, but I'm not saying he's not either. So we can find out quickly,
So one last question. When y'all played us in the refs took the game.
Oh man, come on.
So
Prince of Fan was held by two people.
No. Let's
get mad at Brian Branch. Why are you mad at the refs?
No,
get mad at Brian Branch.
No, let me finish. So can you admit that it was some bad officiating when we played y'all?
On both sides of the ball, yeah, absolutely.
I guess not what I asked you.
No.
That's not what I asked you. Can you admit that there was some bad officiating in Tennessee's
I'll
favor?
answer your question with a question. If you admit that there was not pass interference on Princeton Fant, I'll admit there was bad officiating.
Well, it wasn't.
So it wasn't pass interference.
We're at a stalemate. We're at a stalemate.
Then
So-
here we are. Next question. Next question.
So let's go ahead and get into the first topic.
Yeah.
When Steve asked me the other day about what do we talk about this week, and he mentioned, who do you think the biggest threat is to Bama, or biggest threats? The schedule is quite a gauntlet, of course, for the SEC. That's just business as usual, right? But as I go through the schedule, I can't help but look at Tennessee, and a lot of people, including your own Clay Travis, are already writing us off for that game. I believe Mr. Travis said that we're going to lose by double digits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as Steve already alluded to earlier, the Sharks are circling the water. Nick Saban's not there, so blood's everywhere. They think that we're just helpless on a little bit of a life raft. So what does Tennessee have coming in that really we need to pay attention to? And of course, the obvious is Nico Iamaleava. If I said it correct,
Iamaleava.
Ain't nobody trying to.
Chef Nico is always no. I learned Tagovailoa. You're gonna learn Iamaleava, okay?
Yes.
It don't matter.
Coming in, it is what it is.
It don't matter.
Iamaleava, which
boys can
essentially
swing the field.
is
Yeah.
y'all's Tua Tagovailoa, meaning that from a maturity standpoint, he seems to already get it. He's not the typical 18, 19-year-old kid.
Right.
What he sees on the field is far beyond that of a college player. You saw a little bit of what he could do this year. He went against arguably one of the best defenses in the country in the bowl game, and he held his own. He was not rattled, even though he was sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
But this kid has a year under his belt. It's going to be his offense. He's going to have a little bit of help. Bru McCoy is back, which I'll ask about his status a little bit later. But got Chris Brazzell coming in from Tulane, and also has arguably one of the best running backs in the SEC, and Dylan Sampson. So I think that it starts with Nico. Your coach thinks it starts with Dylan. But talk to us about Nico. What should we be expecting? And in terms of his development, where is he at right now?
Well, before the show, we were talking about wanting him to gain some weight. He's a very tall quarterback, very agile, can sling the pill with authority. And biggest thing with him was gaining some weight. Through the spring season, he's gained almost 10 pounds. They're looking for about another 8 to 10. They want to see him around 225 to 230 so he can keep agility at his height. And really the weight isn't for anything more than just padding and help against SEC defenses, right? It wouldn't have been as, I guess the word would be, necessary as quick if this would have been maybe a season like last year. But with adding the more SEC games, we want to make sure we could have that longevity in Nico. But you're getting a player that is just an absolute baller. I mean, it's really hard to emphasize when you're in a Josh Heupel offense. The ball goes, the team goes to the quarterback. And when you've got a player that is as good as Nico, the ceiling can be very high for Tennessee this year, even at a young age, and with his inexperience so far in SEC play. But we saw what Tua could do with his young age, and was still able to get it done. And we're hoping that we can replicate similar results with Nico. Now, as far as development goes, his accuracy hasn't been an issue. One thing the coaches have been trying to do is not hem him up, but he is in college, Long Beach Poly, and into college. From high school at Long Beach Poly and into college. Very dual threatish. Just had that baller mentality of like, I want the pill in my hands, I'll get it done type situation. And they're trying to hem him back from being to progress through reads a little bit more. He was very a 1-2 read. Let me just take off. I see 10 yards, I'm gonna get it, and was willing to take hits. But they really want to calm that down in an essence of, again, for longevity. So they're getting him to get through his progressions, and I think we're going to see a really solid year. I mean, you got to look at a Josh Heupel offense under Joe Milton, right? Which everybody talked crazy bad about, even though as athletic as he was and such, still had 3,000 yards passing, still had 400 yards rushing, which for any other regular team would have been a fantastic stat. So when you bring somebody in of Nico's talent now, and you put around him the kind of weapons that we have coming back, the ones that we've gained in the transfer portal, and Josh is correct. I mean, the game does go through Dylan Sampson. Last year we were a run first team, and Tennessee had a very, very solid rushing attack, and that opens up those screens and those abilities for those long streaks to occur whenever you can soften the defense, soften the middle a little bit. So speaking of the transfers that came in, Chris Brazzell is huge. I think the cat's got tons of potential. Great hands, soft hands, pause, no diddy. I mean, he's fast. He's got hops. Bru coming back is just, everybody knows Bru's a stud. I hate what happened to him last year, but at the end of the day, having him back and have that veteran on the outside is huge. Some great new talent as well. Caleb was here last year, Caleb Webb, as well as Squirrel White, which we know how quick he is and how much he can get away and make defenses have to worry. But then you've also got 5-star Mike Matthews coming in, which is going to get some play time as well. And then, offensive line was always a concern. Are we going to be able to keep the running game going? Are we going to be able to keep Nico upright? Getting, Lance Hurd from LSU was huge. 5-star, All-American high school tackle. Got him over here. He'll be starting at left tackle. John Campbell, this will be his third year at Tennessee, has moved over to right tackle. We got Cooper Mays back, probably the best center in Tennessee history. He decided to stay. And so we haven't lost anybody on the line. So having all that back is going to be helpful. The biggest thing will be the rotation on defense, which we can get into shortly.
All right. So you said Nico gained 10 pounds. Cool. Good.
Yeah.
So y'all took the cash out of the McDonald's bag and put burgers back in them. All right.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
Now, even with that, the strength of our team, looking at our defense is probably going to be our secondary. So,
Sure.
What weapons or how do you think Tennessee's potentially going to stretch that field on us so that Simpson can run the ball effectively? Because, again, if you can't stretch the field, you won't be able to run the ball successfully because then you can load that box up. So I don't know how they're going to do that because, again, I think our secondary is going to be our strength. And you got a young quarterback, you're going to put him in an awkward position, especially with that. If we get a strong pass rush, you got to tell me how this is going to happen now.
Now, in my opinion, a mobile quarterback is going to be a hurt to help soften up y'all's inner of course defense and first level of linebackers. But screens have always been the way to help us out with against strong secondaries. If you can get a good screen game going and stretching that field sideline to sideline, it's going to leave a lot of stuff open in the middle at that point. You're going to have outside linebackers having to play a little bit out.
Now, the one thing about a 4-2-5 defense, it is great against screens because you do have that 50 DB, so you can play those screens to the flat a lot easier with those 5 DBs opposed to having a linebacker out of there. So, again, I'm interested in seeing how
that works,
goes.
though, right? If it works, if you can get one solid block, on a DB on that screen, you've got a solid 12, 15-yard play there on your hands. So it's about how quick they can jump, and are they going to jump too early? Do they jump too late? Do they get off the blocks?
Our DBs better than Tennessee's wide receivers.
I don't know about. I mean, you should, right?
They
But
dirty,
Tennessee's
they
wide receivers
snitches.
are no slouch.
Okay,
Don't do this.
So
That's 06, man.
So let me say this: a lot of people are like the guy saying Tennessee is going to beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns, whatever.
Sure.
And he hasn't done his homework. You got to look at. Okay, you're seeing all this stuff. People are Nick Saban's gone. The Sabanless Alabama players
Sure.
and this and that. But you got to understand something. Have you looked at Kalen DeBoer's record? Now,
I have.
now he's beaten some notable teams with a lot less talent. Now he's at Alabama with all of this talent, and people are talking all this stuff like, "Oh, he's not going to do." This man is an offensive genius. Okay, he's far better than your play caller. Let's just keep it 100. So what I'm saying is, he has the weapons. So how do you see Tennessee beating Alabama by 2 touchdowns?
Well, first off, he had 2 players drafted in the top 10, one of which had 2 ACL tears. So I'm not sure he was that talentless. So I'll at least say that much. He seems to have always inherited a pretty nice cupboard, no matter where he went. I mean, we're going to act like Chris Pearson.
It wasn't Bama.
Exactly, and he didn't have Bama's schedule either. I mean, so realistically, Washington should have lost about 3 or 4 games last year, but I mean, they didn't. They made it, right? They didn't win it, but they made it. But I think that it still changes up the mindset of Alabama football in the sense of what happens to the offense. Last year when we talked, it was going to be the big blue wall with y'all having the old cat from Kentucky. What happens now? Do we go back to airing it out again? Do we go back to the, what's going to occur? So there isn't really a lot of homework to do because we don't know if even Jalen Milroe is going to be the right quarterback for a Kalen DeBoer offense. That's the truth. And I mean, Ty Simpson seems to fit that mold better than Milroe does, to be honest.
Who told you that?
I mean, anybody that's watched both players play. I mean, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I mean, it's. I'm saying it's still to be seen, but I mean, I'm not sure where Jalen Milroe became this all of a sudden preseason, Heisman contender all of a sudden, just based off his play.
The numbers.
Which ones? I mean, the man had just as many passing yards as Joe Milton last year.
So let me ask you this: so you don't think? You really think that you guys can say Tennessee is going to beat Alabama by double digits?
I didn't say double digits. I'm Travis Hamilton. I ain't Clay Travis.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
I'm not ignorant.
That was a crazy statement. But the thing is, either quarterback can do the job. I believe. Your opinion is your opinion, but the thing is, Alabama has a lot of weapons with an offense that no one in the SEC has seen. So come on, let's be realistic.
Well, I mean, realistically, I have it as a 50-50 game. Being at Neyland, I have it a 3-point. I have Tennessee a 3-point win on Tennessee, just being home field advantage. I mean, if you were to line up, I mean, you can't really say you have to look quarterback for quarterback. Jalen Milroe has the experience, right? But I think Nico edges him in just a few things as far as maybe athleticism, maybe just a little bit more quarterbacky, kind of like. I don't want to put a name on him because I'll put an expectation, but just a little more ballerish than what Jalen was. Jalen turned really pro style, which I'm not saying he was never really a dual threat, but really he sunk into it after the Texas loss and after the bench against USF, and it's kind of sunk into being more of a pro style quarterback, which is good for him. I wish Jalen nothing but the best. But you're really putting our wide receivers in our running game down by not understanding how much of a difference they can be in a game against you guys.
Well, I would say this, and I'll leave it alone. You know what? I remember we had that terrible defensive play caller who's now at where is he, Marvin?
Ole Miss.
At Ole Miss. And I said, on this offense that Tennessee runs, I said it, Marvin. I think y'all remember. Y'all quote me on this. I said Georgia's going to beat the snot out of them. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to press their receivers, and there's nothing they can do. I'd be damned they went down to Georgia and got the snot beat out of them just because they pressed y'all's receivers. Because this guy, or whatever his name is, who's at Ole Miss, he just let them run free. He played a soft zone and let them run free.
Yeah,
and
we'll take
Georgia pressed y'all, bump and run the whole time, and y'all couldn't get free. And how many sacks y'all had that game? Y'all got the crap beat out of y'all in Georgia.
It was a rainy game, bad grass.
God.
It was a rainy game, man.
It rained on both sides, though. It
Stephen
wasn't just raining on one side now.
Y'all cutting into Stephen and Smith's time.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
So my thought, Travis, is going to be on the coach and Josh Heupel. Right?
Yeah.
How much pressure from the Tennessee fan base and the boosters is now on him?
No, I think you can't beat Alabama and then all of a sudden not raise expectations to a really high level, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. And I think that biggest thing for him right now is this Oklahoma game, right? Going back to his national championship, team, going back to, his Heisman runner-up years, going back to the firing and the hatred of Bob Stoops and the program and all that's going to be a big, storyline to begin with. But I think that, if you don't win 9 games, 10 in a bowl, there's going to be some heat at that point. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, we're at that level now. Basketball is a solid team. Baseball is a solid team. Football is almost, solid team. So we just got to become one. And, we're looking at finishing second in the Directors Cup this year. Tennessee Athletics has made a huge step up, and that's going to be on Josh to continue the trend.
That's true.
So we're going to be replacing some people. Justin has spoke to me, unless you're going to ask me, Justin, about Elijah, and I'll wait to step on that later if you want to. But there's a lot of people coming back that we got hurt with injury last year. But the fact of the matter is, it wasn't Josh Heupel lost that game last year. It was Joe Milton. Let's not forget, Tennessee had y'all goose-egged at halftime last year at y'all's own house. So, Tennessee came out firing in Tuscaloosa last year and just fell apart. Joe just decided to not learn, remember how to, read defense whatsoever and lost the game in Tuscaloosa last year. But we were on y'all, 21-0 at half last year at Tuscaloosa? It was up. So game's there. Game's going to be at nighttime. It's going to be kneeling. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be a difference. But, defensive wise, we've got a player that both you and I both wanted, right? And that's an Arian Carter. Arian will be starting this year at middle linebacker. We are losing Elijah Herring and Aaron Beasley. Aaron Beasley was an underrated player his whole time at Tennessee. But people asked me, and Justin has as well. He said, how do you feel about losing Elijah Herring? Elijah Herring was y'all's leading tackler last year. And it's the same way that I would talk to you guys about Henry To'oTo'o, right? Right? Any middle, now again, the reason why I say that
no comparison,
is that, but there's not many Bama fans that looked at Henry in a shining light. No, it wasn't like he was some great middle linebacker, but he was also the leading tackler on your team, right?
Nobody else would do it because nobody else would do it.
He was a pile jumper, sir.
I blame Pete for that.
That's a middle linebacker's most job, though. You're going to mostly, 95% of the time find a middle linebacker. Marvin will tell us all. They're going to be the ones to most of the time have the highest total tackles on a team. But losing, go ahead.
Henry was not the leading tackler on that team. It was DeMarco Helms.
Ooh.
What, in 2022?
Yeah, it was Marco.
DeMarco.
By how much, though? It had to be a thin margin.
DeMarco by 10.
Okay, fair enough, right?
Okay, let's just call it what it is, though, Travis. Pete Golden lied on his LinkedIn application. He should have been there.
I hear more Bill O'Brien hate than I hear about Pete Golding, and y'all were putting up y'all were putting up top 5 offensive numbers for both those years, man.
Okay, now
because of Bryce Young.
Let's make another correction. To'oTo'o got to the ball more than anybody else. Now, and he also missed more tackles than anybody else. So, yeah, let's do that.
Sure. But still, second on the team. But the reason why I say that is we do have Keenan Pili coming back, who was our transfer. They got hurt in our first game against Virginia last year. And we have Arian Carter, which is a young cat. That's going to be great. But our defensive line is where our strength's at. And anybody that's going to think anything different, you've got a guy that's got a potential of being, number 1 pick next year in James Pearce Jr. We talked about him last year. We're going to talk about him again this year. This is what y'all loved about Will Anderson is what we have now in James Pearce Jr. And getting past the defensive line is one thing, right? and then we're going to have mop-up duty with our linebackers at that point. I mean, you've got to really look at our D-line to see a whole bunch of super seniors and 4th and 5th year seniors, James Pearce, Dominic Bailey, Bryson Eason, guys that were all second all SEC teams, and an All-American last year, and James Pearce, that are coming back. Only person we lost there was Tyler Barron.
They said the same thing when we played Texas A&M. Oh, the D line is this.
Well,
what happened?
Let's pick up.
They were supposed to be.
Let's pick up right there, Travis. The defensive line, without question, is arguably one of the best in the country. I could venture to say probably the best in the country right now. And you're going up against an offensive line at Alabama the past 2, we'll call it 3, maybe even 4 years, where used to be a strong suit, but not so much. We gave up the most sacks in school history this past year with 49. Couldn't snap the ball, but we're getting better. But until we see on the field, we have to go on what we saw. So let's talk about just how loaded that defensive line is. You've already named some dudes. James Pearce goes without saying, but you also got Omari Thomas, Elijah Simmons, and the list can go on, and not just on the first team, the second group, and then maybe even the third group. This group is deep, has experience. You said that they've been there a good while. They're 35 years old, but let's talk about how dangerous these guys are and how they can be a problem for Alabama's offensive line while they're still trying to figure things out.
We have 14 players that have at least 3 years of experience on Tennessee ball on the defensive line. From David Hobbs, who was a 4-star player, 3 years now, and all the way up to Bryson Eason. And we just got Jackson Moy from Stanford. The only person we lost was Tyler Barron off last year's defensive line. So I mean, I'm excited about the line. They're healthy. Knock on wood, no issues so far. They've been playing great. So we've got arguably one of the top 3, defensive line coaches in the country, Rodney Garner. So, it's going to ease up for a young cat like, Arian Carter. It's going to make, I've always said that I think that a defensive line can make a linebacker and a defensive back's jobs a whole lot easier, right? If you've got 4 guys, especially y'all as well, right, running that 4-2-5, if you got guys that are getting back there in a hurry that can't let that second to third to fourth read occur, then you're making the job of a linebacker and a defensive back really easy, for opposing teams. So,
okay, Marvin,
Justin, you said a lot about this defensive line. I'm sorry, Marvin, and I just heard you say a lot about it. But at the end of the day, I still got that Willie syndrome. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Well, here's the reality of it, though. When you look at that stretch that Tennessee is going to go into before they play Alabama, you got Oklahoma, followed by Arkansas, followed by what is it, Florida?
Let me see exactly. I'm pulling up both side by side. I think it's
Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, then us, with no off weeks in between. So that defensive line is going to get tested early and often, and like I know, in a stretch like that. It's all about who's the healthiest. Yeah. And again, so how is Tennessee going to survive that stretch? Because again, we know when everyone looks at their schedule, they don't look at the Arkansas. They don't look at the Ole Miss. When do we play Alabama? And they start looking ahead. And when you start looking ahead, that's when you have bad things happen.
Yeah, no, we have a bye after Oklahoma before we played Arkansas at Arky. Then we have Florida at home. Then we have y'all at home. So it's a stretch, but the same can be said about Alabama. Let's see what y'all's games are like.
We got Georgia, then Vandy, then somebody, and then y'all.
Man, I think we got the toughest schedule. Period.
No, Florida does.
Florida, hands down.
Right. Somebody hates them.
I hadn't seen Florida's schedule. Is that bad?
I looked at Florida's schedule and I said, who did they piss off?
They deserve it.
Oh, yeah. Bad.
Billy Napier got his last year coming up. We'll see who they get next year.
No, half year.
Something like that. If
look, man, I'm crying for Billy, man. I love that guy. I'm crying.
But Travis,
Billy's from Tennessee, man. I got him a Tennessee love for him, but
I got one question though. But Travis, how do you survive that stretch though? Because that's not an easy stretch to get through.
You're right. I mean, and it's the same thing of how beat up will Georgia have y'all before y'all play us, right?
Yeah.
It's the same. Y'all aren't used to playing Georgia in the regular season. Y'all are used to getting Georgia in Atlanta, right? And playing them in the regular season could be a whole different ball game. So
every time we've played them in the regular season the past 20 years, we pretty much dusted them off. So, we'll go.
I understand that, but a Georgia revenge tour, I don't think anybody's really looking forward to. And Georgia's got a really solid squad coming back this year. I don't think anybody can deny that. Kirby, what he's built in Athens is an absolute juggernaut. So, but at the end of the day, surviving it is just, how do we do it? It's just that you do it and you try to get out of there with less injuries as possible. That's the biggest thing is that you try to make it as easy as you can and as less injury prone. That's really there's really no other way to answer that question besides just get out there with W's as much as you can. I don't think Arkansas, I'm not saying that they're a bad team, but they're physical enough to at least wear you down that week before Florida. Florida is a huge just a bad mind game for Tennessee. It's just one of those games we play that we just seem to always find a way to lose. And then we'll be looking ahead at Florida and Alabama. It's going to be tough. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. It's going to be tough for us. I mean, it really is.
And those teams like Arkansas and Florida, they're going to play y'all hard.
Yeah.
They're going to play y'all hard.
I mean, Luke Fickell's going to play y'all hard too. I mean, don't forget about Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You guys got Wisconsin too, right? Yeah, Wisconsin. And
I think it's going to be a blowout, to be honest.
But nobody has it easy in the SEC this year. It goes without question. It's going to be a gauntlet, and to come away with one or two losses are going to be a tough task, but you still get you in the postseason, right?
The question is that what do y'all have that has you so? Because
Alabama. What you mean? What do we have?
Okay. Let me rephrase that question. I'll get in the Bama faithful upset, but let me rephrase that. What does Alabama have coming in that makes you so excited, right? Besides Jalen Milroe, let's talk about the offensive line. Whenever Caden Proctor went back to Iowa, all I heard was, hell yeah, dude gave up too many sacks anyways. He comes back and he's like, hell yeah, we got Caden Proctor back.
He's refreshed.
Right?
He's refreshed.
Okay.
He rededicated his life to Christ. He's good. He's good. And then you gotta understand. You talk about this guy. Y'all talking about y'all comparing him to our Will Anderson, and you have clearly forgotten. And you kind of disrespectful with it when you hadn't even mentioned Jaden Roberts.
Yeah, Tyler Booker. Yeah, Jaden Roberts is going to be a top 5 pick.
Tyler Booker's a fantastic player, and I think Roberts is as well. I think that they're still not a tier, but they're below James Pearce Jr. on the edge position.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. I need you to do yourself a favor and go look at film.
We can bookmark this and come back to the draft next year, and we'll see who ends up being the.
Sometimes draftees don't always work out. Go look at some film.
I don't want to have an Alabama fan that's
right.
like Saban had so many drafts. If they're that good, they'll get drafted.
Go ahead,
period.
Justin,
especially
Steve, it's actually your turn. Then Stephen and Smith is going to ask his, and then we'll kind of bring it to a close.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead,
Stephen.
Okay. So here's my thought, Travis. If there's one area of Nico's game that still has you worried, what would that one area be?
Just progressing to the reads, right? Getting to the run too quick. That's my concern. I don't want Nico looking at his check down and then taking off. I think it's going to lead to injury in the SEC if he does something of that nature.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we've seen him get better at in his progression. But, at the same time, it's a concern for me. We've got, behind Nico, you're going to have Jake Merklinger, which is, a young guy, and you've got Gaston Moore. That's it. So you've got to protect that guy. You lose Nico, and 7-5 becomes a reality real quick. So
you're right.
Season is really rested on Nico. We put all our chips, all 7 million chips in one basket with that man, and until it starts coming to fruition, allegedly, whatever it might be. We ain't Florida with 13 million for Rashada, but enough money. But until we get, until we get who's the guy we just got from Brentwood? George McIntyre. Appreciate that, by the way. Until we get GMAC in the building next year, we've got to make sure that we're keeping him safe. And I know he wants to ball, and I love that about the kid, right? But end of the day, this ain't 7-on-7 with pajama pants, right? We fully kidded. So, but I think Nico's gonna do well. I put down a prediction. Bold prediction this year was Nico puts up over 500 rushing, over 3,500 passing.
Okay, very feasible. All right.
Yeah.
So as we come to the concluding parts of this segment, Travis, I'm going to ask you a 2-part question. We brought you on here to ask you: is Tennessee Bama's biggest threat? That's part A. Tell us why, if they are. Part B. This also asks: how could Alabama be the biggest threat to Tennessee? And then after that, pop what you got one more time, and then we'll turn you loose.
Well, I'll give it a part A, part B. I think Georgia's Alabama's biggest threat this year, right? Just to be fair. But y'all do play Georgia at home. So saying that, mentally, I think that Tennessee can have enough of a crowd presence that for a game you could beat against Georgia, you can let slip away in Neyland, right? So I won't be, too orange-colored glasses to say that we're y'all's biggest threat. Georgia is until they prove they're not. I think we're your second biggest threat. LSU will try and take that spot, but I don't see it yet, right? I don't see it yet. They have a great offensive line. They have a great, running game, but I just don't see it yet. With them losing, their quarterback, I just don't see it yet. But and Alabama's always Tennessee's biggest threat, right? No matter if we lose 16 in a row, y'all are our biggest threat, but only because we play y'all first. And I would say the same thing for Georgia for us. If we get through y'all, then it's all eyes on Georgia. But with this new 12-team playoff, I would say we're second. I would say, and I think any Bama fan that realistically looks at the players and looks at the schedule, I think you'd have to put Tennessee as y'all's second biggest threat this year, as games to lose. I've got Bama, and again, it's just me. I've got floor 9-3, ceiling 11-1, right? And that's just me being as realistic of a fan as possible. But same thing for Tennessee. I've got us in that 9-3, 10-2 kind of area as well. So, but with this new 12-team playoff, that can get you somewhere and get you an opportunity to play in January. So we'll have to see what happens at that point. But for y'all to become our biggest threat, I mean, it's really just I want to see what y'all's line does. I want to see if Parker ends up being y'all starting center. I want to see if his size is going to hold up against SEC defensive tackles and nose tackles and see how he holds up. And I want to see if Jalen ends up, progressing himself. I think that we all knew he had a lot of learning to do as a quarterback last year. We learned from that as well. I'm sure he's had a whole off season, but again, I'm not sold that he will be the starting quarterback. My personal opinion on it. I mean, I again, just going based off of quarterback play and styles, Ty Simpson seems to be a better fit. I know that he'll go into fall as the starter, and he's a great leader and a great guy, but we'll see how it ends up playing out for Bama, and best of luck to y'all for y'all season, except for when y'all come to Neyland.
Understandable. Travis, we greatly appreciate you taking this time with us, even going a little bit overtime. We always enjoy a good conversation. No, it's a great conversation. If it's flowing, let it flow. Before you head on out, tell the people how they can find you again, especially for everyone who's gotten in here late.
Oh yeah, no. If you guys can find me on Facebook.com/the VSPN, or at Rocky Top Rico on Twitter. Any questions or DMs or want to talk smack, feel free to reach out to me. I appreciate you guys having me on here, and thank you again. I appreciate it. Good luck to you guys this season.
Hey Travis,
no injuries. Yeah,
hey Travis. Y'all won't be smoking cigars. Just know that. You'll be drinking TBR to drink
the
real way. Roll damn Tide!
Go Vols. Go Vols.
Travis, thank you again, brother. We definitely like to have you back on.
I can see you guys again the week before the game. Maybe we can have a small one for the game, and we can chop it up. But if you guys are looking for extra people, Tennessee players, and I'll talk to Gerald Riggs and all the guys that we talked to. Maybe we can get them on here to talk some smack and really bring us some old rivals. But I appreciate you guys again for having me on, and thanks so much for having me part of the show.
You, brother.
Yeah, man.
Good night.
Thanks.
Man, interesting. Always good to have a little bit of a perspective outside of Bama Nation, so we know what we got to look forward to. We got some other topics to get to, but before I do that, I want to remind everybody the football season truly never ends for Alabama Nation, right? That's why you need to go to whitwellsports.com today. Get your title towel right here, guys. It's beautiful. So just because we love you, right? Enter the promo code STANDARD to get you a nice little discount on behalf of the Bama Standard. That's right. Title towel. Go ahead and make it a part of your life. Get it ready for the season. Let's get 100,000 plus running strong in Bryant-Denny game one. Waving the title towel. whitwellsports.com. We greatly appreciate them being one of our sponsors. Steve, we had to wait a long time to talk about this, and it's funny that our esteemed guest, took a lot of jabs at Jalen Milroe because he just doesn't know him like we do, right? So we're going to talk about how he is elevating right now. We're talking about the next phase of Jalen Milroe. He finally has some coaches that understand him. And it's funny, I'll kind of compare what's going on to The Matrix, where Keanu Reeves' character came into The Matrix not believing who he was, even though he was predicted to be the one to deliver the world. And his mentor, Morpheus, kept on saying, free your mind, Neo. Well, I feel like Kalen DeBoer is the Morpheus in this situation, and he's allowed Jalen to free his mind, find out who he is, not only find out who he is, but believe who he is. And because of that, you can see a different dude out there throwing the ball, making decisions. He's not a guy who is just living to run a play and get through a play. He's a guy now who is commanding an entire offense. He knows where people are supposed to be. He's directing them. He's guiding them. He's also guiding Ty Simpson too. You know, mentorship is a great thing. Let's talk about where he is right now and what people need to know. Start us out, Steve. Then we'll go to Stephen M. Then back to Marvin.
Well, I'm going to say some things that are unpopular, but they're popular to me. To me, I think Jalen Milroe is doing really well. He's had his growing pains just like all the other quarterbacks have. And I think that, you know, if he's listening to his coaches and doing what he needs to do and his work ethic, I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people even more. And you know, people come with this Ty Simpson versus Jalen Milroe type thing. If you know football, as you say you do, there are some people who are just blessed with the game, their game, and some people who are taught that game. And to me, Ty Simpson is a great player, but he was taught. He has the mechanics and all that. Jalen Milroe is a baller. No matter where you put him, he's going to succeed because of his athleticism, and that's just what it is. And that is why he is the starting quarterback. We stand a better chance of winning with Jalen Milroe, even after making his mistakes, because he's going to break out a big play regardless at some point in time. And I think when we played when he got benched, nothing against Ty Simpson, but he showed you who he was. Now, but the thing is, nobody wants to give Jalen Milroe that same grace from 2 years ago when he was thrown in the fire and he didn't do as well. But guess what? He still won. He still won. So there are a lot of different factors from our fans about Jalen Milroe, and I'm gonna keep it 100. Some of it is race. Some of it is people don't have the patience to watch this kid grow as they would other quarterbacks, and that's just what it is. So let's sit back and let this man do what he does. Let both quarterbacks do what they do, because honestly, I feel like both quarterbacks are equipped for the job. Ty Simpson, he's growing, and if Jalen goes down, or even if he doesn't start, I don't have a worry in the world that Ty Simpson will still be able to lead the team, and that's just what it is. So if you get all this colors BS out your mind, man, that we still got some good old boy fans. They don't want to see a black quarterback in Bama. I'm sorry, it's gonna happen. It's gonna continue on, because I just saw another guy that the boy was looking at, a 5-star black quarterback. That's just what it is. It's gonna happen at Bama. It's happening all over. So get all that out your mind and let these kids play and go from there. Because at the end of the day, I don't care who the quarterback is, what color they are. I just want good quarterback play, and let's go roll tide. That's where I am with.
Okay. Stephen M., pick up where he left off. You've got an opportunity to be in a much more closer setting. You've seen how he's developed face to face. What is your assessment?
So I'll say this to start, and I've said this before. This is the best overall quarterback room Alabama's had in 2019. When you look at 2018, when you look at Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones, as great as that room was, and with that room, you got 2 national championships out that room. Mac Jones got it himself in 2020. You look at this room, it's right there with that 2018 room. But in particular, Jalen Milroe, he has something that not many quarterbacks have returned to the SEC experience. Jalen's got big experience in the Southeastern Conference as a starter. He started against Texas A&M, started against Ole Miss, started against LSU, pulled the fire out against Auburn, goes down to the SEC championship game against Georgia, and he wins that game right there. So the experience in the SEC is huge. It's huge for Milroe, but not just the experience, guys. We're looking at somebody that's not only saying, I'm going to be a complete quarterback. Look at what he's doing. He is down there training with one of the top guys in Yo Murphy. Yo Murphy has put so many guys in the NFL. He's had so many guys become All-Americans that he's trained with. He's trained with the younger brother of Carson Palmer, Jordan Palmer. Look at how many guys Jordan Palmer's got in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. These are first-round picks that have gotten with Jordan Palmer, and he has cleaned them up, helped them out, got them to the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, the biggest beneficiary with the Super Bowls he's got. Jalen Milroe's worked with Jordan Palmer, and now Milroe, next month, he's going to be at the Manning Passing Academy. He's going to be around Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning.
Absorbing.
And that's even, he's around football royalty.
Winners.
That's going to be even more help to him. If you go back and you watch the footage there of Milroe working with Jordan Palmer, I mean, the passing, pinpoint. The so much better. Passing point, mechanics so much better. I think Jalen's in a spot where he is going to surprise and shock a lot of people. And the reason why, you've got the coaching staff around him that's all quarterback, all offensive minded. You got the players around him, whether it's Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, Ryan Williams is on campus now, y'all. That kid's going to have to be a factor in this offense. Jeremy Bernard's going to be a factor. I think Kobe Prince is going to be huge.
Kendrick Law.
I think C.J. Dupree.
True.
Kalen DeBoer loves tight ends. Everywhere DeBoer has been, a tight end has eaten. Keep your eyes on C.J. Dupree, too.
Yeah, I agree. I like where he's going. I like the fact that he's more confident in everything he does, even down to his footwork. He's so calm and collective. He's not jittery. The whole field is slowed down for him, and he's able to see things a lot more clearly. And because he has coaches that are speaking life into him, whereas in the past he didn't. Bill O'Brien basically said, you ain't no good here, so I'm not going to bother coaching you. If you want to be a running back, that's your best bet. So what was the whole point of having his guidance? Then Tommy Rees, God bless him, he was a guy who wasn't ready to take the training wheels off, so he was trying to figure out how to run the offense, so he didn't really have time to figure out how to use an elite quarterback. But now you have guys who are pouring life into him. Nick Sheridan, quarterback whisperer. Yes.
And Justin, let me say this too. And I'm glad you said what you said about what Bill O'Brien said, because to be honest, people are not looking at that. But to me, Bill O'Brien failed that kid when we played Texas A&M. Bill O'Brien failed that kid, but they blamed it on Milroe, and that's what our fans are looking at. He's no good. But Bill O'Brien single-handedly, when your coach tells you you're no good and he's not going to coach you, you may as well be a running back or tight end. And may not be in those words. You killed all that kid's confidence. So go ahead. I'm glad you brought that up, Justin. I'm glad.
Yeah, most definitely. I got to point out the obvious. Marvin, you've sat here long enough, which is pretty odd that you hadn't said anything. I'm kind of nervous.
Me too.
So I have a feeling that you're about to provide some knowledge. Go ahead, brother.
I mean, it wasn't my time to talk, so
What?
When does that stop you?
Wow.
No, but in all seriousness, the one thing I definitely want to see cleaned up in this game is that 10 to 15 yard pass down the field. We gotta clean that up because in a lot of situations that was the difference in us, picking up a first down or it being 3 and out. And when you have so many 3 and outs, and they start to pile up, then you start to wear on your defense. So I'm only concerned about the defensive players and them getting the rest that they need in game.
Right.
So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him clean up that mid-level passing game, that 10 to 15 yards down the field. Now, I know he's going to the man in the passing academy. So I was actually having drinks with Eli and Peyton at the Pro Bowl this past year. So I'm praying that they'll give him what he needs. So when I see him this coming season, I can talk so much trash, baby. Listen, I'm looking forward to seeing the growth and evolution in it. But again, it has to start with, cleaning up that 10 to 15 yard pass game down the field. That's where it has to start for me.
Marv, look at that comment. Marv, look at that.
You woke the sleeping giant.
I didn't talk about Bill O'Brien.
Justin, you started this.
I did. I take full responsibility.
Pete was the one in my line of sight, not Bill.
He comes in here from time to time too, Marvin.
That's funny. That's so funny.
Hey, I gotta give a quick shout out to Don Parker. $10. We appreciate you, brother. Excellent show. Interesting perspective from a Tennessee supporter. I'm not making predictions for any game. Hope the 3 touchdown prediction comes back to haunt Rocky Flop. Thanks, guys. Never a dull moment here on the Bama Standard. So before we kind of ease things down, speaking of the quarterbacks, Steve, you posed another great question. Can Ty Simpson take the reins? God forbid something happens to Jalen Milroe. Where's Ty now in his progression? Is he ready for prime time? What does the offense look like if he takes over? And then Steven, then Marvin.
Let me say this. That kid ain't no slouch.
No.
That kid can go and start probably anywhere. And the thing is, I'm still believing in the pecking order how Saban did it, man. Wait your turn, but while he's waiting, he's working and he is ready. And if Milroe doesn't work out, or if something happens, God forbid, I have all the confidence in Ty Simpson. That to me, again, like Steven said, I think we got the best quarterback room in the country, hands down. So, like I said, yes, Milroe's my guy. I can't even say Milroe's my guy. I got to say both of them are. Both of them. Yeah. I'm a fan of both of them, man. The only thing I hate, and I hate it with a passion, is for the fans to stop pitting them against each other. Ty versus just when they go
right. It doesn't exist. That's the thing.
Man, listen, man. Listen, right. So when he does get the opportunity, I'm gonna throw on my Ty Simpson jersey. As a matter of fact, I'm getting a custom made jersey, in and out, one Milroe, one Simpson. That's just what it is, man. Because I love those players. So I'm excited about both of them. And God forbid if both of them end up playing at the same time, that's gonna be ugly. So. I'm rooting for both of them, and I think if Jalen doesn't do it, I think Ty will.
Steve, so please don't show up to Bryant Denny with a Ty Simpson onesie on. Nobody wants to.
Shut up, man.
That's okay, Marvin. He has your baby Gap version in the bag that he's going to bring up on the first game. Stephen Smith, you've had an opportunity to cover this. Matter of fact, we talk about division, but how are two people pitted against each other? They're actually working out together in the off season. They're helping each other grow. They're pouring life into each other. It's very evident. There is no division here. Go ahead, brother.
There is none. Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson have both been in Tampa, Florida, training with Yo Murphy. He's had pictures of both of those guys running, lifting, throwing, the whole nine. I go back to Amber's comment in the chat. She talked about Ty Simpson of a next Mac Jones. I can see it, and probably maybe even a better version of Mac.
I say, yeah, that's
a better version of Mac because Mac wasn't as athletic as Ty Simpson is. Ty Simpson's got crazy athleticism. What we've seen from Ty this spring, Kalen DeBoer has allowed him to go back and do the things he did in high school. If you watch Ty Simpson at Westview High School in Martin, Tennessee, he had a lot of those Johnny Manziel type plays where he would run around, run backwards, scramble around, extend the play, and throw a rocket. And that's what made him special coming out of high school in that 2022 class, 2023, 2022 class right there. So for Simpson, you go back to the spring game, did a lot in that game with 7 of 12 passing, connect with a bunch of receivers. He looks more comfortable. The block in his game has gotten better. He's gotten sharper throwing the football. So if something were to happen to Milroe, God forbid, as Steve mentioned, Ty Simpson can go in there and take care of business. I mean, keep in mind last year when Saban made the move of playing Tyler Buckner against South Florida, who went out to rescue that game? Ty Simpson.
He did.
He went out there and had 2 80-yard drives that helped you win 17-3. So Ty Simpson showed last year in a moment where it wasn't pretty. ESPN gave you the worst camera angle known to man. It was raining out there. It was a monsoon. And Ty Simpson goes out there and says, Tyler Buckner, go sit yourself down. I got this. And Simpson goes out there and takes business. So if something were to happen to Milroe, Simpson will be fine.
The only thing he needs to do, and Marvin, you have it, is when you cross that freaking goal line, make sure you got the ball, Ty.
Yes.
Take it on over. Take it on over, brother. Take it on over.
That, Steve, was the one thing that bothered Ty, because Ty thought he had scored, and he looks back, and Saban's just ripping him. I mean, just ripping him, because Saban's like, Ty, where the ball at? And Ty's like, oh, God. So that's the one thing that Ty, hold the ball until you cross all the way in.
He didn't get a spanking, though. He didn't get a spanking.
He didn't.
He didn't get a spanking. All right, Marvin, we've been waiting on you. Go ahead, shucks.
There's one key attribute that all quarterbacks must have to be successful. And, Ty's going to have this as well as Milroe. So, and, I think he picked up a little bit of it in that USF game, but you got to do it in an SEC game against quality opponents to truly get it. And that's confidence. When a quarterback gets their confidence, it's amazing the work that they'll do. But as long as they're second guessing themselves or they have any doubts, that's when you start to see quarterbacks go wrong. So I think that South Florida game did give him the confidence to where he can start, to build upon. It looks like he's had a great spring. He's doing some quality work this summer. So again, it's all about the confidence. As long as he keeps his confidence and he keeps building that, I think he'll be fine.
Love it. Great way to close out this discussion. Now we start our brand new one, the fun one that everybody loves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Ask Steve segment. Now, this is for the fans to show support your way. We actually got some of the top questions here. The top 3 I'm going to ask for Steve. The very first one is from a family member of ours, Miss Olivia Arnold from the Paul W. Bryant Museum. She has a list of things you need to return first. Second, she says, I want Steve Brown to discuss how he thinks the latest NCAA ruling will impact the future of the number of teams universities will be able to sustain.
First of all, I don't think it's going to sustain that long, because unless they put a clause on it or some type of ceiling, because it's going to destroy a lot of teams and it's going to really destroy NCAA football. So until they come up with a solution to stop wasting and throwing all this money around, we're in trouble. So I can't really give an accurate answer on that, but all I know is I see dark times if we don't get put a lid on it.
I think it's going to be fine, honestly, because if you look at the revenue sharing and how it goes from the TV contract as well as bowls, that's how you've had the teams like the Vandys and the Missouris, stick around for so long. So when you have all these other top tier teams go to these bowl games, that money's, is put in a pot and it's distributed, equally within that pot. So, and it's the same with the TV revenue. So you have the bigger schools that are going to carry the small schools, just like in a conference, except you've expanded it from a conference level to across the board in the NCAA now.
Hey, Justin, may I ask you a question, please? Isn't this the Ask Steve segment?
I was just thinking that, but I did.
But when you look at the model, though, that they're talking about, it's the
I know,
same
but if you look at the screen, it still says what, Justin?
Our model says Ask Steve, but we value your
I
opinion.
don't want to
Hey,
get us banned or blocked on YouTube.
Oh, Marvin finna call me the N-word.
naysayer. Naysayer. Hey, man, look, we got family here supporting you, Steve. Todd Alexander, $9.99. I'm Steve's cousin. Love y'all.
See that? See that? I got my cousins in here. Next question, Justin.
This question comes from Van Edwards, longtime supporter. He says, Steve, I'm curious what you might like better about the current coaching staff versus the last regime. I know Saban is the greatest coach of all time, but it felt like some of his hiring choices the last few years were duds.
Good. That's being gracious.
I think that the coaches are giving the kids, like, let's say, the kids aren't so much under pressure. They're playing music, they're doing all this good stuff and all that. And so far, the hires have been good. We just have one question mark, and that's defense. And that's if the defense does a great job this year, it'll be a successful coaching hire across the board. So I'm excited about it, man, and we'll see.
Okay.
If they don't, I'm gonna be the first one to ring the flag.
Hey, what's that saying on number again, Justin?
That's Steve.
Yeah, I thought so. They don't say nothing but ask Steve and the slow guy. It says ask Steve.
And the slow guy.
Whatever.
All right. The last question comes from Courtney McKinney, one of our biggest fans who's been on here a couple of times. This is a good one, Steve. Steve, how do you deal with the fame of being the star of the best Bama show out there?
Hey, man, I'm gonna tell you something. The reason I'm the star of this show, and this is no secret, I have a group of great guys around me, man. And in order to be a winner, you got to have winners around you. So it's really not about me. It's about my guys around me, Justin and Steven. And it's a great thing, man. It's a great thing. So, you know.
I'm sorry. Hey, that's why the petties call you a tall midget. They say you 5'5".
Hey, so yeah, so I'm glad to have Justin, Steven, and radio around me.
Oh man. Oh.
That's why you can't ride the rides at Six Flags.
So yeah, man.
Listen,
we're just having fun, man. We're having fun and talking about Bama football. And again, this is amazing, man. It's an amazing ride. We're doing a whole lot more than just the other football channels that talk about Bama. We're Bama football and more. You know, we got a guy who we got to take back to the place at 7. So we got to get this over with. So let's get it. Let's get it.
Folks, believe it or not, we do love Marvin. He's good at taking it. No Meek Mill. Anyway.
What is that?
My bad.
Did it pull Marvin onesie to the side? Okay. Okay.
Where else can you get this quality content, folks? Well, next week, before we close things out, I want to let everybody know we got a special guest coming in the house. He's a Bama legend. He's one of the best evaluators in the game. He spent time coaching. He's been with CBS. Now he's with 247. Ladies and gentlemen, Gerald Smoke Dixon will be our guest next week on the Bama Standard. Also, tune in to some of the other shows we have on this great network. The Final Whistle tonight will be on at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. The All-Star Crew is going to keep you laughing and keep you informed. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, Crimson Dynasty with Cece Payne, Hannah Stevens, and Dan James. The Nightcap, Teague State with George Teague, 8:15 p.m. Central, 9:15 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturday, to close us out in an amazing way, he's in this chat already. JB and his co-host, JT, will be hosting Saturday nights Talking Bama. And shout out again to Josh Chucker, JT, for the amazing intro that y'all all get to enjoy now. He will be actually doing the rest of our shows intros as well. So be on the lookout for that. But folks, it is time to wind everything down. And what we like to do is pop all that we got. We're going to start with Marvin Constant, who hopefully is not bitter. And then we'll go to Steve Brown and then Stephen Smith.
Well, I've given you all enough hell over the years. So I'm going to let y'all ride today. But just know payback is coming. So you can find me on Instagram, Constant45, Twitter, Constant451. You'll find direct links to my physical and mental fitness at 40 plus book on both of them. 3-6 week workout programs, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, if you've been doing it for a while. And again, y'all already know, baby.
Yes,
you want to rock and roll? You want to get that action back, baby? Woo! That's $15 you ever spend. So
I didn't know you shaved under your arm. Listen, so
you just ain't had nothing better to do, huh? You just ain't had nothing better to do today, right?
Okay,
Good question, though, Marvin. So, why is it that you can't get more than what Amazon gets off the book?
Because that's just what they charge, man. I didn't do it to get rich. It's just a way for people to get back in shape, Because again, at this age, it's a lot more difficult to get in shape at this age. You're fighting so many things with your body. You're fighting life. You're fighting kids, your job. So it's just a better way to provide people a resource.
Hey Marvin, I think you need to write a chapter in for Steven, how to lift the old couch. Listen,
I got the couch. We got this.
All right, so I got some exciting news, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on social media. Instagram, Comic Steve Brown, one word, Comic Steve Brown. My Comedian Steve Brown fan page on Facebook, and I have some great news. I'll be co-producer of a new documentary coming out. It's called Surviving Diddy, featuring Marvin Constant. Look, so make sure.
Oh, wow. What in the world? God. Oh, no.
Oh my God. As a matter of fact, the couple gonna look just like him. Look.
Well, what? I'm gonna try to steer this thing back left. Yeah, y'all can find me
on that couch. On that couch.
Y'all can find me either on the Deacon's couch or y'all can find me at Coach
Say won't you give?
Yeah, you can find me at Coach Smith on Twitter. Touchdownalabama.com. We still got, in my own words, rolling even during the summer. So that'll be for me.
This is a brotherhood. But man, thank you to everybody who made this show happen tonight. Thank you to everybody in the live chat. Thank you.
Boom, Marvin.
I can't anymore, but roll tide, everybody.